When we first made our video advising you on which brand to choose in WWE 2K22's MyGM mode, there were only 3 matches per show and 4 per PPV. Whereas now you need to fill out 4 match shows and 5 match PPVs, not to mention that you also have the tag team titles to think about as well. So these changes to the game got us thinking, is the best brand to choose still the same as we suggested before? Well, in this video I'll be looking at each brand again and giving you my updated thoughts on which one will help you out the most in your MyGM playthrough. So here are the 4 choices of brand that you have to go with in MyGM. We'll start by looking at Smackdown, which we previously said was the best brand to choose. So Smackdown's Birth of Legends power card gives a +6 popularity boost to 6 random wrestlers on your roster. This is very useful due to the fact that popularity plays a huge part in match ratings and fan engagement, and also gives you the chance to have some of your mid-carders or maybe even your jobbers be way more useful than they could have been before. But now, seeing as we've got the tag team belts as well, this card actually gets a little bit better. So before, it wouldn't really matter too much if your mid-carders or your jobbers had 40s or 50s popularity, because they basically were just used to fill out shows or put on decent matches whilst your main eventers rested. But now we have the tag team titles, it's actually much more important that your mid-carders have decent popularity, so you can really use these matches to boost your shows. Also, once these wrestlers have that boosted popularity, it's actually quite hard to decrease unless you book them into promos and they do badly, or you just don't book them at all. As long as you're booking them into matches every single week, they're actually pretty unlikely to lose their popularity unless their promo skills are really bad and they lose fans that way. So once you have that boost, it's easy to build on that popularity and make them into a proper mid-card star, or maybe even push them into the main event. And that's what I love about this card, it has a much longer lasting effect than the 1-week cards that a couple of the other brands have. That being said, popularity is fairly easy to achieve on wrestlers as long as you do what I said before and book them into matches or into promos. But what this allows you to do is use it right at the start of the run and accelerate that popularity much quicker. So overall, Smackdown is definitely still one of the best choices and is arguably in S tier. But I'm going to put it at the top end of A tier, and the only reason I'm going to do that is because popularity is fairly easy to manage on its own. So moving on to Raw, we highlighted previously that this brand was extremely hit or miss. And to be honest with you, nothing has changed at all. Raw's This Is War power card will randomly select 3 superstars from the opposing brand and will veto them for that week. But there's one huge catch with this one, and it's that you cannot use it during a PPV. So when you look at the positives of the card, it's only really capable of disrupting the opposing brand, not really doing too much damage long term, and can only really be used to disrupt rivalries leading up to pay-per-views, but not much else other than that. Also, the fact that it's 3 random superstars and not their champions or their better superstars makes this card fairly useless. It can either have a decent effect on one of their shows and disrupt some of their rivalries whilst also losing them fans, or it could just get rid of their 3 worst wrestlers that weren't in rivalries anyway and it's completely wasted. So for me, the Raw power card is just not very good. It certainly could disrupt the opposing brand leading up to a pay-per-view, but I would want to veto the stars on the actual show, not just leading up to it. Also, there's just way too much left up to chance for this to ever be a solid card. So for those reasons, I'm going to put it in D tier, because whilst it could be useful and disrupt the opposing brand in one of their shows, it's only ever going to affect them for that week. If this card could be used at pay-per-views, it would be a lot better. Now onto a brand that has gained a lot from the tag team titles being introduced into MyGM. NXT was put into the number 2 slot behind Smackdown in our previous video, but with the updates to the game, it's gained a significant amount of influence. The Fighting Champion power card gives a large boost in match ratings to the title matches booked in the week it's used. Now, to clear the obvious point, having more titles means more matches boosted. So if you use this in a normal show, you could have your entire card getting boosted match ratings, as you could have the main event and the opener as the male and female singles titles, and then the 2 mid-card matches as the male and female tag titles. Now, I actually trialed this in a save and I nearly got 4-star match ratings across the board, which, considering that it's week 1 and there's no rivalry build-ups, is actually crazy. It put me around 20,000 fans ahead of the opponent, so even if you used it in week 1, it's going to set you up for the rest of the run. But obviously I wouldn't advise using it at this moment, because if you use it in one of the pay-per-views, it's just going to be devastating. If you have 4 title matches, all at level 4 rivalries, they're pretty much guaranteed to all get 5-star ratings. And whilst it may not seem like it has a long-lasting effect because it can only be used for 1 week, it actually does. As from that 1 week, you gain an insane amount of fans, but also a lot of money on the side. And with the increased difficulty of hard AI and the amount of matches you have to put on weekly, this will make a huge difference to your playthrough. So if you manage your rivalries carefully and you use this power card at the right moment, you're pretty much guaranteed to win the playthrough regardless. Honestly, I can't think of any negatives for this card. It seems to be a bit of a cheat code. So whilst NXT used to be in second place to Smackdown, it's now clearly the best option to choose when considering the brands, and it's easily in S tier. It could turn a playthrough completely on its head in any week you choose to use it, and for that reason it's a great power card and will always be my choice when playing the game. Sadly, we're now going from categorically the best brand to easily the worst. NXT UK was put at the bottom of our previous list, and unfortunately nothing has changed whatsoever. Even though the money matters a lot more now, the International Takeover Power Card only gives you $36,000 extra for one show, which is honestly insulting. The only good things I can think to say about this card is that it's some extra cash, but as I just said, it's only $36,000 and would barely even allow you to put on a free Hell in a Cell match. So when you think about the longevity of this card, it's really not going to be helping you 5 or 6 weeks down the line. The only time I can think this would ever really help is if you drastically overspent in your draft and then wanted some extra cash after week 1 or 2. But even at that stage of the game, $36,000 is not going to get you far anyway. Not only to mention that, but it's a one-off use card, so you can only use it for 1 week of your run and get $36,000 maximum. And it also doesn't boost anything else for the show it's used on, like the match ratings or the show quality. It really does nothing but give you a tiny bit of cash. So with all that being said, it will surprise absolutely no one when I say that I'm putting NXT UK firmly in the F tier. I do think that it is worthy of a tier at least, unlike Shane, but just to let you know, it is right at the bottom of the tier. It's as close to unranked as you can possibly be. So there you have the 4 brands that you can choose from in MyGM. To quickly recap, NXT is now the best brand by far and the only one I'd put into the S tier. The addition of the tag team titles make this card ridiculously good now, so if you're looking for an easy playthrough, make sure to choose this brand. Smackdown falls from 1st to 2nd place and is put into the A tier. It's still a very good card and has tons of benefits, but unfortunately NXT is so overpowered now that it's just nowhere near. Raw keeps its place at number 3 and is in my opinion a D tier card. There's a huge gap between Smackdown and Raw in this game, as whilst Raw's power card could be useful, it's most likely going to do nothing. Then finally, in 4th place, ranking in F tier, is NXT UK. The less said about this card, the better. If you want to play MyGM on ultra hard mode, then choose Shane and NXT UK, you'll have absolutely no help from either of them. Anyway, that wraps up our video telling you the best brands to choose in WWE 2K22's MyGM mode. If this video helped you out and you want to support the channel, please do consider subscribing. We're well over 5k subs now and are on the road to 10,000. It's crazy to even say that out loud, so thank you so much for your continued support to the channel. Anyway, that's it for the video, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.